Hi, my Tubies and my Teletubbies. It's me, Sheila. This is going to be part two. This is another scenario, another case. And it just goes to show you how love bombing works. This character, he love bombed this girl so intensely that she just lost all her freaking mind, you know? Like I said, the name of this is Love Bombing and How to Make It Work for You. Once the love bombing stop, honey, that's when you need to pack up yourself and keep it moving. Start blocking clowns and excuse me, start blocking them and adios amigos. But what we're watching here today is For My Man. This is what a lot of women who have been love bombed is willing to do. Would this have ever happened to Sheila Truelove? No, never. Never ever in life. I remember there were times when my daughter, she used to, you know, come down on me because of the way I used to speak to my ex-husband. She had no idea what I was going through behind closed doors. So she needed to shut that down. Shut that up. I remember all of that, all of these things. I'm having flashbacks looking at these For My Man. Please.
This. She's fabulous until she met him. That's when it changed. The dark cloud came over her and everything changed. Something about him didn't sit right with me. Boy, it's crazy. Literally, something is wrong with him. He just broke her down, made her a weak person, something that she never was.
He didn't break her, yeah, but I guess maybe whatever. Now keep in mind that she came from a good family. Her mom had passed away, but she had a very, very loving father, a very loving dad. She had sisters and cousins. She had a great background. So again, when you see a lot of people messing up in life, you can't blame the parents all the time because a lot of these kids had the proper upbringing, but they chose to be disobedient. Not only did they give God and Christ their middle finger, but they gave their parents their middle finger. And when you do stuff like that, here's the outcome.
Tania's family tells detectives that just a month into their marriage, Darnell became overly possessive. It got to the point where she couldn't make certain decisions without talking to him. She used to be a very sociable person. And suddenly she was unavailable. She started to be a little distant. You hardly ever saw her. She wouldn't visit as much. I would ask her, "Are you okay?" And she'd say, "Yes, Auntie, I'm fine." I'm like, "But you don't look okay. You don't seem okay." It was all about making him happy so he wouldn't get upset. In truth, Darnell was using more than just emotional manipulation to get Tania to do his bidding. It was physically abusive and psychologically abusive.
You heard what they said. She did all these things to keep him happy so that he won't get angry. Nigga, please. Sheila True Love, no, you can get angry all you want because you know what? I could get angry too. We could both be blow this place up in here. We could both have attitudes up in here. See, I don't see things the way a lot of females see things. I'm more like a Judge Lynn, a Michelle Obama, Joyce Myers, uh, Felicia Rashad. I'm more like a Priscilla Shire. These are women who they may be married, but they still have a backbone. These are women who would never be in a position like this, like you see these females. Never.
He was controlling. He knew that she was very vulnerable and he knew how to manipulate her because he knew that she was missing something in her life. She had so much going for herself. I felt like he manipulated her and pressured her to do what she did. Tania's family says that the more Darnell mistreated Tania, the more devoted she became.
Check that
She
out.
had that mind frame where she wanted to do to make him happy because he made her feel like that was her responsibility. Tania's family states
The more he mistreated her, the more devoted she became to him. Now, keep in mind, I don't know if I told you this earlier, her father had died. Her father died. She loved her dad. They were really close. And when her dad died, she just lost it. But she has other family members who love their dad too. They didn't turn out crazy like her because that's not in them. You see, they try to say this girl wasn't a criminal. She's always been a criminal. If it's not in you, it can't come out of you.
That once Darnell was thrown in jail for the jewelry heist, her loyalty to him went into overdrive.
Sure, you're right.
It's hard to tell if she really thought he was guilty, but she wanted to stand by his side. She loved him to pieces. Darnell would say, I'm in here because I'm trying to give you this life and make you happy. So she started feeling like it was her fault that he was in there, and she had to make something right. She couldn't lose the only other man that she believed loved her. Less than 24 hours after the shooting, investigators received some good news. Deputy Marquez's condition has stabilized, and doctors expect he will make a full recovery. But there's little time to celebrate. In the hours since the shooting, reports of attempted carjackings across Los Angeles County have skyrocketed.
People got guns pointed at them and either gave up their car and they drove it like a block or refused to give it up, and the perpetrators just ran away.
Witnesses say that there was a black male with a black female accomplice who was attempting to carjack cars with a shotgun. And those descriptions both match Tania and Darnell. The next morning, detectives arrive at the home of Amaya Connor, one of the victims of the armed carjackings. Amaya quickly confirms what investigators already suspect, that the people who attacked her were Darnell and Tania Washington.
I guarantee they probably gotta get another car. At this stage, he's a big-time accomplice.
But what will be this ride-or-die couple's next move? And will there be more bloodshed before they're brought to justice? California detectives are on the hunt for Tania Washington and her escaped convict husband, Darnell. The couple is suspected in the shooting of Officer John Marquez, who will miraculously survive his injuries. Tania's friends and family have long had their misgivings about Darnell, but they're shocked to learn of the lengths she went to in order to help him break out of jail. Tania had never been influenced by any man, never been swayed to do anything that she did not want to do. That's not Tania. Tania never did nothing that was criminal, but I know how she felt about him. Detectives now believe the Washingtons are also to blame for a slew of armed carjackings in the area. A suspicion that's confirmed by one of their victims, Amaya Connor, who offers up a harrowing account of what happened.
They approached her with a shotgun, and they wanted to get her keys.
He goes up and tells her to give him the keys to the car. The woman realizes that her brother and sister are in the house, doesn't want them to get hurt.
She panicked because he had a gun and she knew that he was going to be serious about using it. The couple took her keys, sped off in her car. After speaking with Amaya Connor, detectives put out a bolo for her stolen vehicle.
So after the carjacking and the officer shooting, law enforcement create a be on the lookout, saying the person is known to be armed and dangerous.
Now the thing is that this female, she should have known that this guy don't care about her and he don't really love her. Anytime he's asking you to help break me out of jail, he's sitting up there showing you that he's getting ready to ruin your life. I'm supposed to break you out of jail. That makes me an accomplice. Would Jesus Christ help break somebody out of jail like this? Are you kidding me? Some criminal. He was locked up for a reason. He was a thief. He was a criminal. He did other things out there in the world to hurt innocent people. He was locked up for a reason. That monkey, he belonged behind bars.
But despite detectives' best efforts, the trail grows cold.
They somehow get away from this huge police detail, and then they just disappear. The entire Southern California area, is on the lookout for these two individuals.
I just could not sleep, wondering where she was. Is she okay? I can't get to her. I can't talk to her. Just cry and just pray that she doesn't end up dead. I just want her home. I just want her to be safe. I was scared if she would have answered the phone. I would have just tried to plead with her, try to figure out what she's getting herself into and the consequences.
Weeks pass with no sign of Tania and Darnell. Finally, on October 5th, more than a month after the shooting of Deputy Marquez, surveillance video at a hardware store in Pinole, a town some 400 miles from El Monte, suggests the Washingtons have finally resurfaced.
They're acting suspicious, both looking around a lot. Kind of indicators that, these people are looking to steal.
They're in the aisle, and he's trying to cover her while she tries to steal a hacksaw, and she slips in her bag. But then they get confronted by the store security. They manage to break free from the scuffle, and they escaped in a silver car.
The video surveillance, along with the eyewitness account, confirms it. The Washingtons have made their way to Northern California.
Police have no idea why a couple would go to this much trouble to steal a $5 hacksaw, and they decide to put out and be on the lookout for that vehicle.
But before the Bolo can generate any new leads, the case takes a dark and sinister turn. Later that night, less than 10 miles away in the neighboring city of Hercules, detectives are responding to a 911 call at the home of Kelvin and Susie Coe. 55-year-old Susie has been found on the floor of her home, stabbed and beaten to death in what appears to be an armed robbery.
There's no way you can ready yourself for something like that.
And this female was stabbed and beaten to death. And you want to try to convince me into believing that this whatever love bombed broad, she's not a criminal? Nah, no, come on. She's already nut job for helping somebody break out of jail. For someone to even ask you to do something like that, that shows you that they don't give a damn about you. That shows that they're freaking narcissists, psychopathic, and sociopaths. Nut jobs.
Susie's injuries are horrific.
She was beat with the butt of that shotgun. And some of those stab wounds, it was like they hit the clavicle bone and moved it to a softer part of her body so he could make sure that she was going to be killed.
She was stabbed 21 times.
What?
The aftermath was one of the most devastating crime scenes that I've ever seen.
Could Tania and Darnell be responsible for this heinous attack? Given the proximity to the hardware store and the fact that Susie Coe appeared to have been beaten with the butt of a shotgun, the connection seems probable. Detectives speak to Susie's heartbroken husband, Kelvin, about the moments leading up to the crime.
Mr. Cole was at an airport waiting for Susie to pick him up. And when she didn't, he got really concerned.
They called and asked his neighbor to go check on his wife. His neighbor ended up going over to the home and looked through a window, and she saw Mrs. Coe laying on the ground, not moving, with blood around her.
Kelvin can't imagine why anyone would want to harm his wife.
Susie Coe, she's a retired teacher. She's the mother of 4, grandkids. She's beloved in the community. The last time that Miss Coe was seen alive was around 7:30 p.m. that night. She had walked next door to a neighbor's house and dropped off some roses.
That's just the kind of heart that she had. She was just a quiet, well-mannered older lady, one of the darlings of the neighborhood.
The suspects ended up killing Miss Coe and then taking her purse, some small items around the house, and the keys to the car. If you just take a step back, you can really see the layers of how unnecessary this was. They didn't need to assault her to get her car. Definitely didn't need to kill her to get her car. They immediately put out a bolo on the vehicle. The license plates are registered as a vehicle that's been involved in a murder.
Now, the race is on to capture Tania and Darnell before they kill again.
From a manhunt to murder, these people are damn near America's Most Wanted at this point.
Residents in Northern California's Contra Costa County are reeling from the brutal murder of 55-year-old Susie Coe.
Anytime you have someone that's well established in the community and they're murdered in such a violent way, creates shockwaves through the community.
For this neighborhood, it was one of the most devastating things that have occurred. This just doesn't happen. And not to Mrs. Coe. Not for a lady who was just kind to everyone.
There's nothing that Susie could have done differently that day to avoid what happened to her. I think that's the thing that's disturbing and scary. This could have happened to anybody.
Detectives believe the killers are married couple Darnell and Tania Washington.
They got into the shootout with that deputy, committed carjackings, armed robberies, and then stabbed a completely innocent woman.
They were now being called the 2012 Bonnie and Clyde.
Detectives put out a bolo for Susie's car. They need to find the Washingtons before they harm someone else. 5 days later, on October 10th, investigators catch a break, but not in California.
800 miles north, Seattle, Tacoma area, this officer happens to see a car.
It's parked in an empty lot and matches the description of Susie Coe's vehicle.
The stakes have totally gone up, and the officers know that this is the key piece of evidence that they've been looking for.
The officer approaches the vehicle with caution. He sees a couple inside, clearly in the throes of passion.
They were having sex in the backseat of the car.
It's unbelievable that they were discovered in the stolen vehicle having sex, just for all the world to see. They freak out and they scramble to put themselves together.
Recognizing the Washingtons from the nationwide bolo that went out a few days earlier, the officer keeps his service weapon trained on the two lovers.
They're not going to go down without a fight. So Tania jumps in the front seat and starts to try and drive away.
Like, get those monkeys. Bunch of stupid fools.
Luckily, the Washingtons don't get far.
Officers managed to stop the car about a half-mile away using a pit maneuver where one car pulls in front of the suspect's vehicle and another car pulls up along the side of it.
The second cop car pulls up, and then a third cop car, and they basically corral him in.
That's right, they got you.
Even though he and Tania are surrounded on all sides, Darnell refuses to come quietly.
Darnell is.
Look at how stupid he is.
They had to tase him.
You see how they had to tase him? Yeah, they didn't even want to shoot him. They want him to. He's going to pay for shooting a police officer. He's going to pay dearly. Now, we don't want to kill you. We want to make you suffer. And she's an idiot. All of this because he said a couple of nice words to her. All of this comes from love bombing. But like I said, look, first of all, somebody got criminal records. Life has taught me, Tubies, they got criminal records and stuff like that. If it's not like a white collar crime, nah. Somebody who's selling drugs, that tells you that they don't care about hurting other people. They don't care about destroying lives. I remember when I was younger, what have you, and I was out in the clubs and I was partying it up, and I used to meet up with guys and everything, sitting on their lap, letting them buy me this and letting them buy me that. And then once I found out what they used to do for a living, guess what Sheila True Love did? Bye. You sell drugs. Nah, man, come on now. You're hurting people. Well, if they don't buy it from me, they're going to buy it from somebody. I don't give a damn about that. You don't have to be contributing to it. If you're not a part of the solution, then you're a part of the problem. And of course, I got rid of them. I don't care how much money they were spending on me. I don't care what car they was driving around in. You sell drugs. Bye. Because that's straight up loser. That's someone who's evil. I don't want to hear about, well, I got to feed my family. You're going to feed your family off of the blood of other people. That's what you call pure evil.
Calm him down and apprehend him.
They got him good.
As for Tania, she seems overwhelmed with emotion.
She was distraught, totally discombobulated, and this was her worst nightmare.
Darnell and Tania Washington are placed in police custody and transported to the King County Jail.
Both had warrants out for their arrest from the escape and the carjackings, the attempted murder of the police officer, the murder of Miss Coe.
Word of the arrests travels swiftly back to Tania's family in Los Angeles.
I just cannot wrap my head around it. I was just kind of speechless. Couldn't comprehend it with my best friend. All these things transpired because that one fateful decision to drive up there and let this fool hop over the gate and get in the car with you.
Stupid.
What's surprising to me is just how long that they were able to elude capture and the lengths that they're willing to go in order to get away.
It was anything to survive. Whatever they needed at that time, they made sure they got it.
The couple is transported back to Northern California, where detectives attempt to elicit confessions from them. First up is Darnell. But just minutes into the interview, it's clear he has no intention of playing ball.
This meant life in prison, no matter what he did. He had committed a murder. He knew that this was his death sentence.
With Darnell refusing to cooperate, investigators turn to Tania.
She had no criminal record. There's a chance that she would talk.
But like her husband, Tania remains tight-lipped.
She loved him, and she wanted to be the one to stick by him through thick and thin.
There's just a whole storm.
That's not love, honey. That's codependency, stupidity, infatuation. It's anything but love, because that's not how love works. That's not how love operates.
Of things that are occurring with her, they probably just came to a head, and she decided at that moment to make that choice to stick with him.
Investigators have no choice but to charge Tania and Darnell with murder, robbery, carjacking, and burglary. It will now be up to a judge and jury to determine their fate. And when push comes to shove, will the couple stick together, or will one of them finally turn on the other?
Sometimes when you unleash a monster, you can't put it back in the cage. They're already loose.
For my man. That ain't even a man.
Darnell and Tania Washington.
For my man. And these things are not men. For my man. No, for my monkey in the cage. For my mental patient.
Have been charged with a murderous crime spree that kept the entire state of California on pins and needles for nearly 6 weeks. But before their trials get underway, Tania's defense team pleads with the judge in a preliminary hearing. They claim that their client is a victim herself.
Tania's defense team argued that she had been abused by Darnell and that she was an unwilling participant in these crimes.
She was manipulated by him. She tried to run, and he threatened her a few times to kill her.
She's been in an abusive relationship, and that means that there's a really powerful bond that forms there.
The judge, however, rules that Tania must face her crimes in a trial like her husband.
Good.
Which forces Tania to make a life or death choice.
She's not retarded. She mental illness. She's a psychopath, a sociopath, and narcissistic monster. But at the same time, if I were the judge, I don't want to hear that she was manipulated. I don't want to hear that nonsense. Unless this woman she's like mentally challenged because of retardation, then yeah, we could try to take that into consideration. This is a female who was born mentally healthy. She made these decisions.
Before Darnell went to trial in 2016, Tania took a plea deal for 23 years in state prison.
Tania pleads no contest to manslaughter, carjacking, second-degree robbery, and residential robbery. And in return, she doesn't have to testify against her husband, Darnell.
On July 22nd, 2016, the trial for Darnell Washington begins. Prosecutors lay out their case. They take jurors on a wild ride, beginning with Darnell's daring escape from a Southern California detention center.
Sick bastard.
It took some planning, and it was quite brazen, but his mindset was to escape.
And Tania was there waiting for him.
He said, I'm coming out one way or the other, but I want you to be there with a car and help me get away.
After 5 days on the run, the couple then got into a shooting altercation with Deputy John Marquez in El Monte.
They pull up to a shopping center. Tania got out, and Darnell's lying down in the back seat with a shotgun. This deputy starts running the plate number on their car, and Darnell jumps up and starts firing shots.
This guy was willing to shoot his way out of the situation, and Marquez was lucky to survive.
Prosecutors allege that once the Washingtons fled the scene, they went on an armed carjacking spree up the coast, which included the assault on Amaya Connor.
She's terrified that Darnell has a gun. She gave him her keys, and he got in the car and sped away.
In regards to Tania, this is her ride or die, and she chose to stick with him.
The Washingtons then burglarized the store in Pinole.
Darnell and Tania had stolen a hacksaw and fled in the silver car. They knew they had been seen on camera, so they ditched the car.
They manipulated the barrel, then they sawed the wooden handle off. He wanted to conceal the gun.
Prosecutors theorized that the couple then found Susie Coe's home and slipped inside. Tania positioned herself as the lookout, while Darnell demanded Susie hand over her car keys.
He asked her for the keys to her car in the same manner that he's done to numerous people at this point, armed with a gun.
When Susie won't give up her keys, Darnell stabs her 21 times.
My thing is, what was wrong with Susie? Was she nut job? He told you to give up the car keys. She's like, no. You up against a man with a big old rifle in your face. I mean, you could take a mental picture of what he looks like so you could give that description to the police. Be wise. She's sitting up there trying to fight to hold on to her car keys. Yeah, 21 times she stabbed and beat down with a freaking butt of a rifle. She was another dumbass.
Darnell had fired a shotgun round. Neighbors would have heard. So
stupid. All of that.
And a beating.
She did.
Maybe loud.
She died trying to hang on to material things. She felt that a car was worth her life. How stupid is that?
Within the home isn't going to be heard outside the walls of that home.
Darnell and Tania then slipped away under the cover of darkness in Susie Coe's car.
Whatever. Susie
They
Coe was an
ended
idiot.
up heading north up into the state of Washington.
After laying out the timeline of Tania and Darnell's crime spree, prosecutors present a laundry list of incriminating evidence seized from the couple at the time of their arrest.
When police capture Darnell and Tania in Seattle, they are in Susie's car. And inside the car, not only do they have some of Susie's belongings, but they also find a knife and Darnell's sawed-off shotgun. Forensics later found that there was DNA matching Susie.
When it's the defense's turn, they don't deny their client's guilt on many of the charges. But in a surprising turn of events, Darnell flips the script on Tania.
His defense was that
What?
Tania did it, saying that throughout this whole crime spree, Darnell was cool, calm, and calculating, but Tania was freaked out and panicked.
So check that out. He blamed everything on her. She's sitting up here being loyal to some clown who was just love bombing her. And look at how, when his back was up against the wall, she sold her out. She's sitting up there being loyal to somebody who would. It's sad. It's totally sad.
Just attacked Susie against his wishes, and that she was the lone killer and he had nothing to do with it.
Darnell's defense is a complete shock to everyone familiar with the case, especially Tania and her loved
Pure
ones.
evil. Look at
It's not her
evil.
personality. It's not her spirit.
Sick.
She would never stab somebody.
Shut up.
She would never kill anybody.
Shut up.
No.
Shut up. No. Yeah, right. That's her cousin talking. You don't know this broad? She sat up here and went along with breaking somebody out of jail. She would never. She would do all of that nonsense because she was evil just like him.
She wouldn't.
Yes, she would.
Darnell's claims are stunning, but the jury isn't buying them.
Good.
On September 28, 2016, the jury finds Darnell Washington guilty.
Darnell was convicted of the first-degree murder and then given the death penalty.
Good.
He's
Death
sitting
penalty.
on death row right now and plotting his next escape, I'm sure.
That's right.
The verdict and sentencing brings some closure to the families of Darnell and Tania's victims. However, the pain will last a lifetime.
Justice was served, but justice can only go so far. The Coe family and everybody who loves Susie Coe is always going to have a hole in their heart.
They've lost a dear loved one and they'll never be able to see her again. It's heartbreaking.
Really a needless and senseless crime. There was no reason to
Yeah, it was needless and senseless because Susie was an idiot.
murder her.
So, that's just horrible. But Susie was a dumbass. All she had to do was give up the keys and show them where the freaking whatever is. Make sure she got a visual picture so she could identify them when they do a sketch. Help them catch these miserable bastards. But Susie, being materialistic the way she was, hey, what can I tell you? The Bible always tells us to be wise. Be wise, my child. That's what makes God's heart rejoice. Susie was not wise at all. So she's where she's at. Whatever.
For Tania, she has 23 years behind bars to think about what she did and why.
The tragedy for Tania in this is she's going to spend the prime of her life in prison.
While she's in custody, maybe she will realize that the price that she was willing to pay to be on this crime spree with Darnell, it just wasn't worth it.
No, it wasn't worth it. Maybe she learned not to be an idiot. You think? I doubt it. Because you know what? Things like this happen to females all the time where they've been abused and exploited, taken advantage of, and they get rid of the guy. So like, let's say they go out there looking for another guy. Man, with me, I would be done with dudes. I'll be done. Don't a man even look at me. I'm focusing on my career, my spirituality, making money, and that's it, and that's all. When it comes time for me to have a man, I'll wait until the new order comes. But anyway, this is Sheila True Love, my tubies. I wanted to share this with you, and I always like giving my commentary because I think that my commentary can prove to be helpful. You know, that's why I'm hoping that watching these shows with me will help educate you. This is the kind of thing I would do with my daughter when I'm trying to educate her and my son, and it was up to them whether they chose to listen or not. They chose not to listen to a lot of things that I was telling them. They chose to give Jehovah and Jesus Christ their middle finger. They took the Bible and threw it out the window somewhere, and then when they get hurt or things happen to them, guess what? They want to play the blame game. Don't play no blame game because of your hard-headedness. Yeah. You let somebody sit up here and love bomb you, and then when you get hurt, I'm going to blame my mother. I'm going to play the blame. Oh, baby, please. Anyway, I don't even want to go into that right now because that's a very, very sensitive topic for me. Oh, it just freaks me out. These kids, they don't want to listen. They don't want to be obedient. And then when their life don't turn out to be the way they want it to be, oh, let me blame my parents for this. No, baby. Because I've seen too many people from that soft white belly. You know, it's on YouTube, soft white belly, where a lot of these people are drug addicts and junkies and prostitutes and pimps and homeless and Skid Row. And a lot of those people had good families. They had great, remarkable parents. How did they end up like that? Because they chose to be hard-headed. They didn't want to listen. They felt that they knew more than God. They knew more than Jesus Christ. They knew way more than their parents. So guess what? Guess where you at? And they have no one to blame but themselves. Anyway, this is Sheila True Love. Truly loving you, hoping that I shed light on certain matters for you, and I will see you on the other side. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so that other people can be enlightened. And remember, you always have a choice in life. Please choose wisely. I'll see you on the other side. Bye for now.